Okay, I'm gonna show you how you can make dairy-free ice cream using fresh ingredients. So, what you're gonna need is this right here, which is, you gotta make sure it says dairy-free. Coconut milk in a can. You need the fat, so that's why it has to be in a can. These are the teaspoons that you will need. Or teaspoon and tablespoon, if it'll stop moving. A little bit of salt, because that's what that there's for. Lime. Recipe technically calls for lemon, but if you don't have lemon, you can use lime. A blender, something to blend your fresh stuff in. Sugar, and you want to make sure that you have a measuring cup. And if you're trying to make something that doesn't need, or you don't want a lot of sugar, use it however you wish. You don't have to do it exactly how I am. My way is to add flavor. A way to whisk. A bowl for your fresh ingredients when they're chopped up. A container to put your ice cream in. And a bowl to do all the mixing. And you want to make sure that you have plastic wrap as well too, because we need to make sure no air gets onto the ice cream to crystallize it. If it still crystallizes it, it's still just as good. But yeah, so these are what you're gonna basically be needing right there. So okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is put the fresh ingredients that you want to do. I'm doing with this one blackberries. They're really delicious. So I'm going to make one ice cream blackberries and another one strawberries, which is in the freezer as well. But for now, you want to try to fill this up, maybe, a little bit past that, because you want to have it be at least 480. So do your best in measuring. All right? Okay. So as you can see, it's to the brim. Now there is still extra room. So once we have it blended up, you can easily add more of what you got. You can easily add more into there. Very easy. Advice to definitely at least pour a little bit, not much, of water. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of liquid in it. But you don't want too much, because all you really want is the flavor. So I'm gonna pour just enough to have it float, because it's going to be pretty well frozen. So, all right. Okay, so as you can see, once you have it well blended up, I had to pour a little bit more water into it, but you need to make sure that you blend it up so there's no solids, or you can have it so there is a little bit of solids, and transfer it over to your fresh bowl. Now I am going to have to sacrifice my hand so I can get the rest of the stuff out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is pour the cream into our bowl that we will be mixing everything in. Now what you're going to do is once it's in here, you're going to whisk it for a couple of minutes. I'd say I'll do about maybe 2 minutes of whisking. Then I'm going to add the coconut milk in here, and then just repeat the process of whisking. So, all right, so I just put the coconut, the whole can, all in here, and now I'm gonna mix it up to make sure that it all properly gets blended. Now you can use a machine one. I don't have one, so I'm using a different one. So, but what you're gonna do is keep mixing it up, because if the thing gets all, hard at the very top, either you put it inside the refrigerator or not, and it got nice and hard, what you're going to do is just mix it until it's all well blended. And then once it is, you're going to pour your fresh ingredients, which, just so you know, it doesn't have to be frozen, but if you were to freeze it, it helps it just that much more. to freeze up into ice cream. So you can get fresh, blend it up, just make sure it's nice and cold. Doesn't have to be frozen cold, mine was, but it has to at least be nice and cold. Okay, so after it's well blended, you need to make sure you get a cup of sugar, 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and then you want to get your mix. And now what you're going to do is pour it into the center. Now, I'm not going to show it on camera, but I will be scraping all that in there. I'll go right back to that. Now you want to pour in the cup of sugar, and then the 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Now you will add the lime, but mix it up and add it to taste. So now what you're gonna do is blend it all in really well. Now you can have some fun and add some swirls to your ice cream, especially when you pour it into your container right there. You can add swirls if you want. I, on the other hand, just want to make sure it's all blended so it's one color is what I want to do. So I'm not big on showy, but the dessert idea I have for Thanksgiving, I will explain that to you as well later. But you can have fun, but the point of this bit is making sure all your fresh ingredients is well blended, your sugar and your salt is well blended as well too, and then again you will add the lime into it for taste. So make sure you taste it once you get done with the mixing. 1 tiny spoon is just fine, but then when you start adding the lime, you need to mix it up, taste it. If it feels like there definitely needs to be more, do so. Just try not to overdo it with the lime. Most of what the lime does is helps the raw or fresh ingredients that you put into it from going brown. So again, you just want to make sure it's all well mixed up and have your container ready to put your stuff in. So okay, once it's to your liking, taste and all, what you're gonna do is transfer it to your container. Now with your container, you do have to be careful. It will expand a little bit, so make sure that you have plenty of room between the base of like where that right there is going up, because it will expand. I would advise more of a container that actually is designed to hold ice cream. I'm improvising and using this. When you do that, you want to make sure that the plastic wrap you will use will go all the way over. You want to make sure it is touching the ice cream. It will be liquidy, that is true, so do your best to try to get out the air bubbles as best as you can, and then put it inside the freezer. So okay, so I have it all now inside the container that I wanted in. Now it's time to transfer it over to the freezer section. I made a little spot right there just for it, and there it is. Now it's gonna take about 5 hours, maybe more depending on it, but it's nice in the far back where the freezer bit is, so it should get nice and frozen fast. Check on it regularly if you don't have enough room right here. Check on it. The outer bits will freeze first and start working its way in, and then the center would get frozen. It's fine if it stays in the freezer for 24 hours or longer, that's okay. Just make sure to check on it to make sure it doesn't explode or blow up. Now you can repeat the process of doing everything that I showed you with anything else. It could be strawberries, blueberries, whatever fresh you can do it with, and just repeat it with all these ingredients right here the sugar. I'm going to repeat it one more time. There's a little bit extra in my thing, so I'm going to have a nice little dessert, or I'm going to pour that into a, you know what? I may put the remaining in this one right here and freeze it for little old me. So, but I'm going to repeat the process again. I already cleaned this out, and I'm going to repeat the process once more. Okay, as you can see, I'm now prepared for round 2 of making these. Now, this is another version, Silk, that you can get of dairy-free as well too. So there's at least 2 that you can actually choose from. Hopefully you can find it. Now, if you're going to do strawberries, you want to make sure that you cut off this top part right here, this top half. When you do, just toss it in. And if you want, you can then cut it in half to as well toss it in here as well to help it cut up, which is what I'm going to do as well. Okay, now you're going to pour your Silk milk, or the other one if you got that as well. You're going to pour that, the whole cup in. That's at least 1 to 2.5, or 1 and maybe 1.5 cup. But it's 16 ounces, if that helps. So you're going to stir it for a while. Once it's to your liking, you're then going to add the coconut milk right in. If you need to dig in there to get the rest of it out, then do so. Once you do that, you will now re-stir again. Make sure that if there are any chunks, because coconut milk does solidify, it's kind of weird, but it happens at the very top and on the sides, especially if you've had it for a while. But you're going to keep going until most of the chunks are gone. And that could take a while to do, so... Okay, so once, again, it is to your liking. I'm going to put it in here for right now. Get your fresh stuff, and yeah, that's where I put it. And just pour it in. It's fine if a little bit of it is liquidy, that's fine. Once you do that, let's mix that in. Make it look nice and pretty, however you want. Again, you can leave the swirls in or make it a full-on pinkish, like a light pinkish color, which is fine as well too. As I said, my dessert idea, you probably wouldn't even see the little swirly bits if I left it in, so I'm just gonna make sure it gets really well blended. I'm going to get right back to it. Or what I want to do now is get my 1 cup sugar, my pinch of salt, and I'm just doing this eyeballing because I already know how much to add, but a little bit of lemon. I'd say maybe that there's a little bit more than a 1/8. And now you just mix it all in. Make sure it gets nice and well blended. Obviously, with a actual blender or, one of those things would make it a lot easier. But again, I don't have it, so I'm manually doing it. So the first one was blackberries. This one is strawberries. But I have done, I've gone to the store and grabbed mixed berries and made another ice cream with mixed berries. Oh, that was so good as well. This will be my third time. Oh, wait. Actually, this is my second time. Because I've done this one twice and I've done the mixed berries twice already. The blackberries was my first time, and I have enough to actually make more. I may need more of the silk and coconut milk, but I got enough to be able to make more. But I'm gonna use some of them to make my little dessert look really pretty, so. And that won't happen until Thursday, so. This video will only come up once the ice cream comes out of the freezer so I can show y'all the finished result. So, I'll be editing it until I get the last video of the final piece of what they look like. So, oh, it already smells good. Now I'm gonna grab my tasting spoon. Oh, here it is. Gonna. It's always polite to wash it. You know what? I'm gonna be nicer and get a whole new one. Okay, so I've already added the lime into it. I dropped the lid. I'm gonna edit that out. Okay, I've already added the lime to it, and now I'm going to taste it. Now I'm going to taste it. Get a good batch. Okay, I'm just gonna maybe add a little bit more lime. Make sure it's nice and well mixed up. Again, you add the lime to taste. Perfect. Okay, no more. So now I'm going to put this in the other container I have right here. And the little bit I get from it, I'm going to put that little bit into another container I have that I'm going to freeze and have a little mini ice cream that has both the blackberry and strawberry in it. Okay, so as you can see, my ice cream is now in here, really liquidy. I'm now going to transfer this right on top of the other one, and they're both sitting right here. Again, I have to check on them regularly to make sure they don't explode or anything like that, but 2 ice creams. Blackberry, strawberry. And this one down here, I'll go ahead and get it. It's going to be the mixture of them both. So this is still more remaining, which will allow me to pour into here. So I'm going to do just that. Let's do a little bit of extra stir, and my gosh, I already tasted the strawberry one, and my gosh. I had several spoons of this, so I'm just going to pour it in. Look, I made a little heart. Okay. Now, what I want to use is this little guy and go back through, scrape it out, and then do that little bit into here, and then put it into the freezer, and I'll have my own little ice cream. I'm going to blend it up in there as well, so it's mixed up. I'll show you the results of that. Okay, so the last of what I made is in here. So now I'm gonna mix it up. The strawberries I used were deep red. Oh, so delicious. Okay. Now this one's my personal one. So let's taste how it tastes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I could just sit here and just scoop. I can taste the blackberries, strawberries. Oh my gosh. Oh, so worth it. All right. So this one has a nice tight lid. Okay. And make sure you clean up your mess. All right. So now what I'm going to do, because I'm OCD. All right. So the container's nice and clean. Got OCD'd with that. I'm now going to figure out where to place it on top. So that may fall. So I'm going to lean it like that. There we go. All right. So I have a nice little spot right there. So I got 2 ice creams and 1 little extra one that has them both mixed together. All right. So I'll show you the finished product once they're frozen. Hope y'all do enjoy. Okay, this is already the next day and I have my 3 things here of ice cream. The first thing I really want to check is this one right here. So let's look and see how it looks. That looks delicious. Nice and hard. My personal one. Alright, so this one right here is the strawberry. So let's go ahead and open this up. It's like an unboxing video. Look at that. I'm not quite ready to take the wrapping off. I'm going to leave the wrapping on, but so far there are some bubbles in there, but oh, that looks so good. So that's good. Alright, put the lid back on. Alright, now this one right here. You can see there's still some air, which is good, but it is touching the very top of this. So let's go ahead and pop this open. So let's check it. So it's still gooey right here. It is really thick, so it makes sense of why this part right here is still gooey. So this is almost fully done and ready. Obviously they're gonna go back in the freezer, but this right here is the blackberry that I did. It looks so delicious. I can't wait to actually have it. But yeah, so the thicker the container, so this right here, luckily, is thin circle-wise. It is really tall, which is fine to do. These containers right here are good in lengthwise. This right here is already fully frozen through. This right here is not, but that is because I really, I filled this one up really well. So it still has a good amount in the center. It still needs to cool down, so that's what it's going to do. But they're ready. This right here, I may be eating here and there. These right here are mostly going to be for Thanksgiving, but I may, once they're fully done, maybe get a small slice of each one, possibly. But that is my plan for Thanksgiving, though. So I hope that you're excited to try to make this ice cream. So, woo. All right, bye.